What is up, guys? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and our series, Nurses to Riches The Road to Fire. After much anticipation, I finally managed to get some time with a nurse that is unlike anyone you will ever meet. He's a nurse that has one of, if not the craziest work ethics of any nurse. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 days of 12 and 16-hour shifts in a row. And he's probably one of the few nurses you'll ever meet that owns a Lamborghini. It's part of the reason why he goes by the name Lambo in our Discord server. So, just like all our previous guests, we're going to talk with him about his career and we're going to tear his finances apart. So, with that, Eric, please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're from and why you decided to become a nurse.
Hey guys, what's going on? Glad to be on the channel. So my name is Eric, originally from the Bay Area. I went to school down in San Diego, stayed down in San Diego. And then when I finished, went to school for business first and then decided to go into nursing. Came up to the Bay Area because down in SoCal, they didn't make as much money. So the reason why I went into nursing was because I got into an accident. My fiance at the time, she was a nurse in the ER. So when we were dating, I kind of went into the whole medical. I used to be a firefighter. So I went into thinking about doing PA. Well, medical school or PA, one of the two. And then we got into this big accident. She ended up passing. We both went to different trauma hospitals. So I found out that she passed away waking up in ICU and the TV was on. So it kind of hurt me. So I thought to myself, there's one thing I should do for her, one last thing. She had an associate's degree in nursing, so I decided to go back to school and get her bachelor's for her. So that's one of the reasons why I became a nurse. And a lot of struggle to get through nursing school because I had traumatic brain injury. I had to learn how to read and write and comprehend. So I was always just on the cuff of not passing. But I ended up passing, made my way back into the ER and then back up to the Bay Area where all the money's at. So that's where I came from. And that's how I got to where I'm at today,
Damn, dude.
on your video. So.
Damn, dude, that's a rough story. Like, how are you doing today though, after, going through what you did?
Her passing anniversary is actually November 1st, right after Halloween. So time heals, but you never forget. So my body never forgets it. It gets into this funk every September, and it's been over 10 years. So I just really, go through the motions, go through the same things. But I mean, it is what it is. Made me a better person, realized different things. When I was going through it, we just bought a house. So the house that I currently live in, we just bought it, and then we owned it for about a year and a half. And then when we got into the accident, I couldn't work. Her mom ended up taking all the money out of our account and couldn't come up with mortgage. So they were foreclosing on the house. All our cars got repoed. Future looked blank. Didn't look good at all, and then just was going to give up. And then that's the whole idea of going into nursing. She enjoyed it. The money wasn't the big thing because down there in San Diego, they didn't make a whole lot of money, but, the career was good. There was always hours. So I just thought about, let me give it a shot and go through nursing. And surprisingly enough, had no money going through nursing school. Had to think about how I was going to pay for school. I got accepted into school. I think they felt sorry for me because I wrote them the story about what happened. So they automatically, I guess, gave me a pass. That's how I got in. And then to pay for school was kind of, I didn't have any money because I couldn't work. And when I was going through at San Diego State, I defaulted on a loan. So once you default on a loan, you can't get another student loan until you pay that one off. And I didn't pay it off. So I don't know, by a miracle, I applied for financial aid and they gave me all the loans, scholarships, grants to get through school. So that's how I got through school and actually kept my house. I didn't pay mortgage for 6 years and they never foreclosed on my house. So I still have it. I still got it. And I'm doing my thing.
So. Are you on time with your payments now?
Oh yeah. Definitely on time with my payments. But man, I don't even know how, if people ask, I wrote my book and I put in there, I don't even know how I survived in that, in that time period. because
Yeah.
it was just a lot of hustle, you know.
So, okay, after you graduated nursing school, where did you land your first job?
I landed it at the place where Jeanette worked, which
Okay.
was down in the ghetto. It's called Paradise Valley Hospital. So it's like a mile away. You can look it up. It's called the Four
Yeah.
Corners of Death. And that's how bad it was. Like people would get shot like all the time, and then they would think we were a trauma hospital, so they would bring them to us, and then we would just be like, "Oh, we got to transfer them out." So yeah, but that's
And
where
what
I
unit was that? That was in
started.
the ER.
In the ER, yeah. In the ER, I think I started off at, I think it was like $26 an hour, 1% raise with a $5 night diff. It was
Yeah.
in San
Oh,
Diego. Yeah,
gotcha. So
yeah.
how did you find out about the rates up in Northern California?
Oh, my cousins are, being Filipino, my cousins are still up here. So they would just tell me how much they got paid. And I was like, man, I got to go up there. And here's the thing, a lot of people down. So when you have this big, crazy idea of just commuting back and forth, and not knowing where you're going to live or stay. People, and I told people like, hey, they get paid like 2 or 3 times the amount that we do. I'm going to go work up there. And then a lot of people were like, oh man, you're going to kill yourself. That's not a good idea. If it's such a good idea, people would be doing it. And, so I had probably out of 10 people, I told that this is what I was going to do. 9 of them said, it's crazy. Don't do it. And then, I always have one of my friends going like, yeah, this seems cool. Kind of, like, all right, well, go do what you got to do. And so I did it. When I started, I actually took a position with Sutter, where I still work now. It's per diem, but I took a position with them and still work per diem down in San Diego. So I flew back and forth constantly. So I would try to group my schedules together, like work all at one. But since I was new, I couldn't do it. So my only choice was as soon as I finish shift, then go back down to San Diego, and then
And
finish that shift, fly back up. Yeah. So
so are you still flying back and forth?
yeah, but I have more control of my scheduling. So I'll kind of try to work, my OT. And if I'm on a roll, then I'll work 2 weeks straight or something, and then fly down. And then see how my parents are doing and go out. And it's a different lifestyle down there because it feels like nothing but like I'm rich or something like that, because I get a chance to drive all my cars, my Ducati and all that stuff. So
So where do you stay when you're in Northern California? Do you have a place to stay up there?
yeah, I have I stay with my girlfriend. So we have a house in Union City, and
Okay.
then it's like kind of centralized. A lot of people live all the way out east, down in Vallejo or Pinole or something like that, Hercules. But it's kind of convenient here. It's like it's expensive. I think the houses here go like 1.8, 2 million, and it's not that big of a house. I think it's like
Yeah.
maybe 2,000 square feet or something like that. So it's not that big.
I guarantee you there's going to be somebody in the comments saying, hey, you could just move to the Midwest and pay
Oh,
$400,000 for a 5,000 square foot house.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know,
But
yeah.
yeah, but then
So,
so I'm up here and then I fly down to my house down in San Diego. Yeah.
okay. And how much are you currently making at Sutter?
At Sutter, I think it's about 100 just under 120.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's with how many years of experience?
That's with 12.
And you
Yeah.
said that includes the night shift differential and
Yeah.
any other
The way
differentials you might
yeah. So for per diem, they give you an hourly rate, and that hourly rate is based on the night differential and being per diem. Now, based on like our union book, I tried to figure out like by their percentage, but it's a lot higher than, I don't know how they figured it out, but it's a lot higher than how the union book puts it out. And I don't, question it. So I'm just like,
have.
all right.
Right? Who's going to complain about getting paid more than they
Yeah.
should, right?
But
So,
it's go ahead, go ahead. No, I was gonna say like having the work ethic I do, I get even though I'm per diem at Sutter, so I usually can float back and forth I can work either at Eden, Summit in Oakland, or Ashby campus. But I'll get requests from like Santa Clara, out in Tracy, out, to these other hospitals. Like I just got a text message saying to go work over out in Tracy Sutter, and they're paying a bonus, and I think the rate was like 325 an hour.
That's the hourly rate, not the bonus.
No, that's
An
the
hourly
hourly.
rate,
Yeah, that's what
320. Wait, hold on, $325 an hour.
hour. Yeah, 12 hours. Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh my
I couldn't
God.
do it. I couldn't do it because
Yeah.
I'm already booked at Sutter, and then or at the Ashby campus in Tesla. So I couldn't hop on that. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but I already told one of my friends. So he works just as much as I do, but I had to put him on game on how to actually work better, not just work a whole bunch of hours.
Yeah.
So he started doing that, and he's the one that texted me, "Hey, like just shoot on over here. I already told my manager about you. They just have to turn you on over here." And I was just like, "I can't because I'm already scheduled to work this week." So
So, how many hospitals are you currently employed in?
right now, just Sutter. So Sutter, if need be, I can work at any Sutter facility.
Cool.
So I was working at Kaiser, and then I quit Kaiser because I didn't like their flow.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is with everybody, all the other ones, but at Fremont, uh, their flow was kind of, me and this other guy, I had him on my YouTube channel, but me and him were the new people, and they would actually hold the acuity of fours in the waiting room, and just give us, me and him, all the twos and threes, ones, or whatever.
Uh,
And all the other people would get the easier patients. And I'm all
yeah.
like, just give us the patients so we can, decompress the waiting room. They're like, we'll just, yeah, the
Yeah.
ambulances, they wouldn't break down my assignment. If I had an ICU patient, they wouldn't break it down until I was getting off. So the person coming on would have a two patient assignment. So,
Dude. Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I'm still at the Kaiser I'm in. It's
yeah,
probably because it's one of the most laid back Kaisers I've heard of. Like we have so many nurses that have come from other Kaisers and
yeah,
they don't think they'll ever leave the Kaiser that we currently work in.
yeah. I mean, the people there are cool. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but just the way they flowed, I totally
Yeah.
understand. Hey, I'm new. You're gonna work me. That's cool. But I mean, me and this guy would have four patients, and then some people would have one.
Yeah.
And
That's not right, dude.
having one, I'm all like, come on,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
you can have four easy
Yeah.
ones. Just let's all
Yeah.
have four.
Yeah. So
So,
aside from Sutter, I know you work somewhere else. Where is that?
at Tesla. So I work at
Okay.
Tesla, and I used to work at San Francisco General. So I did trauma over there for almost was it almost 10 years, 8, 10 years. Yeah, so it was pretty eye-opening over there when I first got
Wow.
hired over there. Man, I'm going to tell you, they over there, it's cutthroat. Well, I don't know how
Hmm.
it is over there now, but if they didn't like you, they would try to get you either fired or try to get you to
Jeez.
quit. Yeah,
Damn.
that's how
It's
bad it
that
was.
rough.
Even that.
And
So one of my directors that hired me over at Sutter, she went and became a director over. They tried to get her fired over. Dude, it's
damn, dude.
crazy.
So why
Yeah.
did you leave?
So enjoyed working there. Always had fun, but the drive over there was like over an hour and 15 minutes, and they were kind of not the highest, not even close to being the highest paid hospital. Even if I went per diem over there, it's still not one of the highest. So then you have to look at it. I got what I got out of there, which was a lot of knowledge. Uh, I'm very proficient in everything I do. So, I mean, the ER to me is easy. And a lot of people take offense to that because um, they find it hard to work in the ER. And it made me, I can work any hospital and just adapt to it real quick. That's why I can get
Yeah,
called to like Santa Rosa and just not be familiar, but I mean, it's all the same. As long as I know where the tools are, I'll treat the patient the same. And, but after a while, you have to think to yourself, all right, my time is worth something. Let me go somewhere that I can make more money, hence Kaiser,
yeah,
So Kaiser, I made, they make pretty good. They used to be one of the highest, but not
yeah.
anymore. Um, and then now, and I was thinking about going to Stanford at the time. But then I wanted something different. And that's why I chose Tesla, and different way of thinking about how to get paid as nurses.
But how did you even find out about Tesla? Because I get all these people asking me like, nurses work at Tesla. How
Yeah,
does
you
that
know,
happen?
so there was a guy, so working at Kaiser Fremont, they were talking about some guy that used to work there that left that ER to go work at Tesla. And, they weren't talking to me. I was just, kind of hearing their conversation. So while they were talking, I was online at Kaiser looking up if they had an actual RN position for at Tesla, which they did. They said, and you had to have 5 years of trauma experience, yada yada. So I applied that night. I applied, and they didn't ask for too much. All they asked was to copy and paste your LinkedIn bio. That was it. So I was like 2 seconds, boom, and then I get a phone call the next day with a recruiter, and then I get interviewed. This was Sunday. Get a text message from the recruiter on Monday, interview on Tuesday, interview again on Wednesday, and then the following week interviewed with the medical director, and then hired the next day.
I just want
So
to let everybody know who's listening in on this. You're like the third person to like say something positive about LinkedIn. So for
oh,
those new grads out there, just make sure you update your LinkedIn bio and
yeah,
apply for jobs through there.
they asked for that. So
Yeah. And then when you started working at Tesla, like what are the job requirements? What do they expect you to do? Are you still in an ER within Tesla?
no, no. So it's kind of funky. So they require a trauma experience because they need to know that you got to have like really good like I guess triage skills. Because what
Yeah.
happens, my role over there is they employ like 20,000 plus people, right, at the Fremont
Yeah.
factory. So their job over there is pretty strenuous. A lot of people they work 16 plus hours and whatnot. There a lot of I think the oldest person I've seen work over there is like 70 or something like that,
Wow.
close to it. Yeah. So and the youngest is 18. So a lot of people cut themselves. A lot of people end up with heart attacks. Personal medical issues,
Yeah.
hypoglycemic, whatnot. So we have to determine if we're going to send them back to work, send them to urgent care, take care of them on campus at the medical facility that I'm at, or out to the ER. And the biggest thing is if we're going to send them by ambulance or we're going to send them by the personal vehicle or a ride share. And then, because if you're unsure, you can, you can't send this guy that's having a heart attack through a ride share.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
suck that you send them through there and then he ended up
Imagine that.
dying.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
that's kind of why they want you to have
Yeah.
all really good experience. And the people that I work with, they have a couple of them have military experience. So they were out in the war and out in Iraq doing a lot of trauma. So a lot of people, good group of people that seen lots of trauma and knows what's sick. And then, so we get a lot of people that come in and go, hey, I feel sick. And I have to say, no, you're not that
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. So how is your particular place of work structured? Is it similar to like a clinic or is it an office?
It's like an urgent care. So we have this place in the factory, and we can see it probably has like 8, rooms that we can see 8 different patients in. Kaiser, I think actually during the day they actually have, I believe they have urgent care in there. So they
Oh,
leave after a certain amount of time, and then I come in. So I'm like the provider on. So we have a medical director that's off campus that I can contact at drop of a dime, and he'll pick up the phone. But people walk in. We have an admin who's like the unit clerk and registration that registers the patient or the associate, and then I kind of listen and then see whether I have to determine whether it's like something repetitive that can be handled through. I guess they have something called work right there. So what that is if somebody does something repetitive, they send out a physical therapist out online, and then they'll show them how better body mechanics, massage or whatnot,
yeah.
just to get them to keep going, which is kind of cool. I've never seen that happen
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and but that's it. It's the same thing. I check vitals, and we have a 12 lead. I have standardized orders for meds that I
I feel like that need to be given. No narcotics. I suture over there. We have Lido with Epi and whatnot, and I'll do the sutures or whatnot. So it's
So
kind
do
of
you
fun.
enjoy working
Yeah.
there?
Oh yeah, dude. I think honestly, as long as you're comfortable with how you practice, if you're very confident, then it's pretty easy because there's no, I don't get turnover from anybody. So the nurse that I'm taking over for, he's finished up all his patients and,
Wow.
and nobody gets admitted over there, so
Yeah.
there's nobody going to be held over,
That is like the best kind of ER you could ever work in.
right? I mean, there's like, it's actually, I tell people, I go in there less stressed and I leave even less than that. And
That's
that,
amazing. Yeah.
and they pay pretty well. I
It-
can't really
yeah.
say how much
Uh,
exactly, but
yeah.
it's pretty good, and especially
Cool.
with the ESPP that they offer.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, so now let's get to more of the financial stuff, right? Because like
yeah,
you're working these two jobs, right? And
yeah,
like I said, I saw your video. You were making $40,000 a month. Is
yeah.
that typical for you? Are you always making that much?
I usually do probably like 36 to 45,000. Yeah.
And how many
So the
hours are you putting in usually for that, that amount of money?
Well, in two jobs. So like right now I'm doing that. So I put in at least 80 hours at one spot and I believe 84 hours at another. So like 164 hours.
Every
107
2 weeks. Every two
every
weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow, dude. So, and I know you're on our Discord server and you're always telling us, hey, I'm going to work another 16-hour shifts, 40 days in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the most I've done was I think 18 months. I worked 18 months straight every
Holy
day.
crap.
Yeah. And at the same
My,
time went to I think USF to do an online program.
I mean,
Yeah.
how does your body and your mind feel after working that many days in a row?
The thing is, it's so in the beginning, oh man, I was spent. But
Mm,
um, the trick is to have goals. So
mm,
the biggest thing is a goal, and it can't be like, hey, I'm gonna send my kids to college or something like that. That's like the long term goal. You got to have these short term goals that you can see, actually feel, and actually accomplish. So you get to one thing, you get to another, and it just feels like it's worth it, based on whatever it is that you want to get, and it motivates you. So when I started doing all this overtime, people used to, there was a stigma behind people that did overtime. You're either, like broke, and that's why you needed to do so much overtime. So when I started doing overtime, I was broke, Then I thought to myself, when we're in school, like we have to grind it out. If you have a job or whatever you're doing, you're not getting that much sleep. And if you're trying to have a social life, you're still not getting that much sleep, So you go through how many years of school until you finish. And then I thought to myself, man, why did we stop grinding it out? We just got to keep that grind going, because we're never done until you're done, until you get to where you got to be at. So my whole goal was to be part of the 1%, and in order to get to the 1%, you have to do more than what the average people do. So the average people work, a 9 to 5, work the minimum and try to maximize what they make out of the minimum. And that doesn't work. So you look at anybody that's accomplished, not just financially, but physically, emotionally, and educationally and career wise, they put 120% in. Steph Curry didn't come in, being one of the leading, basketball players just by putting the minimum in. He had to go out there and work his ass off when he was a kid all the way until today. Same thing with Michael Jordan, Elon Musk, everybody. This guy, Elon Musk, he's a billionaire, but yet he still puts in hours. You know, and people ask me all the time, well, you make a lot of money. Why do you put, so much hours? Because for one, I enjoy what I do, and it's this is what I always say: if you see a broke nurse, they're lazy because we make pretty good money. There's no reason for us to be broke.
So, did you reward yourself after those 18 months of work in any way? Because you said you set some goals for yourself. What
Yeah,
was that goal at the end of the 18 months?
to save my house. So
Mm,
I lived there for when we got in the accident. I couldn't pay the mortgage at all, so a lot of my friends said short sell because at that time, it was a housing market crisis. And but the problem with me short selling the house was that would have got me out of debt, but I had nowhere to live. And I took care of my parents. So I had to take a shot and squat at the house. So I said, I'm just going to live here until the sheriffs kick me out because that's my only option, and I had to deal with that. And every day, I would go home from nursing school and, at times have study groups at my house. I have to make sure that, that sign that the sheriff might have put up, I would take it down because, I was going through the foreclosure. And for 6 years, it never happened. So I just started feeling comfortable that, hey, you know what? I'll be able to, I believe in God. So he's somehow there's a miracle going on here, that they haven't done this. And I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to stack my money so I can show the bank that, I can afford this house by myself. Because right now where I live, the houses are, same thing, 1.5 to $2 million, and I'm the only, I think, person in the neighborhood that has a single income that's affording the house. So, and a lot of people over there are, dual income and they're doing a lot of things. So just having that goal right when I hit that, and then I made the deal because I went through probably with Bank of America over 100 people managing my account to try to get me to qualify to a loan modification. And the last one happened to be this Filipino lady, and she was just like, "You're gonna get it because you make a lot of money." And she said, "I'll make sure that you get it," and she did. She wrote out this thing, she pushed for it, and she just took the 6 years and put it on the back end. And I was like, dang. After that, I kind of knew like, hey, you know what? Anything is possible.
So what are your monthly expenses like now? So you own this home, right? Or you have a mortgage. What do you pay monthly on that house?
5,000.
Okay. What was the value of the home when you first purchased it?
700,000?
And now it's worth, with the comparables in the area, about 1.5 million.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah.
Damn. So you're just like double in value right there. So aside from your home, what are your other monthly expenses like?
So the Lamborghini, that cost me just about $4,000 a month. My other Tesla cost me about $1,800 a month. Both my motorcycles cost $800 a month, but I pay it faster. So I'm almost paid off with one of the motorcycles and almost paid off with the second motorcycle. And my Mercedes, my S class is about, I think it's $900 a month, $875 or something like that. My BMW paid off, I think. Oh, my Range Rover almost paid off.
Dude, how many cars do you have?
I think that's it.
So basically, your cars are worth more than your house in payments, monthly payments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think my home. So my monthly expenses, I think, with my American Express, I mean, just total out, I think is like $19,000 a month.
Damn. So what would you do if, like, let's say for whatever reason, you just ended up losing your job and you couldn't find another one?
If I got hurt for some odd reason, I have this thing called living benefits. So if I end up getting hurt or something like that, it's $1 million policy. So like, just say I got cancer, and they'll let me take out 90% of my policy,
Gotcha.
to help cover whatever I need to cover.
Yeah.
If I end up dying, I have like $2 million worth of, life insurance. Yeah.
Life insurance. So your monthly payments, you say, are about 18 to 19,000 or so.
Yeah.
And
that's not like obligated to. I just spend that much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Because at any moment you can just sell the cars. If you really needed money and you didn't want to work all those hours every single week, you could do that if you wanted to.
Basically, if I wanted to, I can just sell the house, move into a smaller house, and pay all my debt.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Because it's a $1.5 million house.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not really going to affect me.
Yeah.
I still have my investment accounts, and I still have. I took a big hit on crypto when it collapsed. So I think I lost about $100K.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you gotta invest your money, and be willing to take a hit if it comes. So I took the hit, and it's not a big deal. It didn't break me.
So what are your other investments like? How much are you investing in your 401k or your 403b?
What I do is I max everything out, and then I take out a loan for like $50K on either 401, 403, and and then I put it back in, so I make a payment to go back, but my term on that is like 15 months. So everything offset. So I always have cash on hand, and just in case I need to make an investment or, buy whatever, and I pay that back, but it rotates. So every 7.5 months out, I'm paying off a loan, taking out another one. And it's only it's only 50,000 because that's as much as you can take out. And the interest rate comes back to me, because I pay myself the interest rate. And that's why a lot of people are like, hey, you got to be aggressive. It's either you're going to lose it somewhere, So the biggest thing I did was, prior to COVID hitting, they said to leave your money in there because it'll bounce back. Because if everybody took out all their money out of their retirement, then it would have collapsed. But knowing the fact that you could take out 100K, so take it out and then reinvest it on the down and then recoup when it comes back. And that's basically what I did.
Gotcha. I think I'm too scared to do that. I just keep my money in my 401k and just I write it out. I don't want to time the market.
It's safe doing that. So it's all who you try to listen to and kind of mimic your life to be like. So a lot of the people, they take chances, but calculated chances. I'm never going to risk everything on it because I don't think anything is worth that much. But, money is money. I was able to bring myself from -0 because when I got into the accident, my medical bill was like $800,000. And then her mom was suing me for $1 million. So I was already 1.8 million in the hole and possibly losing the house. Lost all my cars. So knowing that, coming from that, getting to where I'm at now, I mean, anything is possible. So nothing really scares me of, money is money. I think the biggest thing where people stress out is that they make it more than what it is. And I try to tell people, when you die and you come back, because when I was intubated and listening to people describe how they looked at me and thought I was going to die. And I was just like, man, there was a chance that I could have. And all that worrying prior to me getting into the accident, that was my choice. So now I choose not to worry about anything, like what am I going to spend or whether I can afford it or not, if I'm going to be tired or what people say. So that kind of skewed my way of thinking.
I think you got to have like a very life altering experience like you did in order to have that mindset, because, not many people have experienced what you've experienced, all that hardship, all the pain, the angst that you felt.
Yeah, like David Goggins, same thing. When you read his book, his childhood growing up was like, man, crazy. And same thing with like Eric Thomas. The people that did great things had something in their life that made them think different. And I try to tell people how to change their life and don't wait for a life-changing thing to happen. Because when that happens, man, it's going to be hard because it's not like, hey, I'm going to change my life. It's whether or not you cross that fork going like, I'm just going to go all the way into drugs or work hard at it. And there's a lot of, working at the General, I talked to a lot of the homeless people and a lot of people gave up, and they decided not to work hard at anything because they felt like they can't, Now I just like hit the Peloton. So I'm going to try to go 100 miles. Oh, shit. Hold on.
Staffing.
It's overtime every day.
That's from Sutter?
Yeah, that's from Sutter.
Jeez. So do you pre-schedule yourself for all of these shifts in a row?
Yeah, I pre-schedule. So the biggest thing where it helps me that I've learned a lot was working with the scheduler. So I'm per diem. She puts me on the schedule because they're short all the time. So I'm able to kind of guarantee my hours if I want. And it's worked out. Because there was at a time where I worked at Sutter and at the General, and I had to have the perfect schedule. Because if I didn't, I would have schedules that overlap, and I wouldn't be able to, work 2 jobs. Because I basically worked 4 days at Sutter at the time and 3 days at the General. Wow. And with 2 different schedulers, I'd have to make it happen. But I became really good friends with the scheduler at the General and good friends with the scheduler at Sutter. So they knew I worked both jobs, and they would just say, "Hey, what's your schedule?" And then even though I didn't have seniority, they would put me into that schedule.
You know why? Cool. It's because if they ask you to work, you worked.
Yeah.
And they knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I always say 99% of the time I say yeah.
So aside from the $18,000 in expenses that you have and your investments, do you know the true value of all of your investments?
Yeah. I mean, right now, so in crypto, I lost a lot. So, but right now, it's only worth like 12 grand.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Down from like 150 that I
Damn.
had, and
That's
then
rough.
yeah, and my 401, that's down 30. So had over 100,000, and then I borrowed half, which is 50, and I'm paying that back. I should have that paid off like in 6 months. And then, I'm just my stocks, I think I not that much. So I only have, I think, about 40,000 in stocks.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. So for somebody who wants to be able to earn that kind of money, what would be your recommendation to them? Like, what kind of steps should they take to get to that point?
Well, it's a mindset. So you have to have that mindset first. And in order to get that, I mean, you have to be goal oriented. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. Because when I told people, my bright idea of buying a Lamborghini, the first thing was like, hey, nurses don't buy cars like that. Oh, doctors barely do, whatnot. And I was just like, okay. But, express your goals, and who cares what people think about them. And as long as it's something that you want to have or do in life, then do it, And if it takes to work some overtime, do the overtime. And, make investments. You got to invest. In the beginning, I spent a lot of my money. I never made this much money before. I think the most I'd made was like $50,000 down in
Wow.
San Diego when I was working as a firefighter. I think I got paid like $13 an hour. So not making that much money. And here's the biggest thing. When you don't make that much money, you don't know how to spend it or invest it. And so when I work and I talk to a lot of the techs and even some of the nurses that aren't investing, a lot of them don't invest because they want to have the money to spend now. And I tell them, hey, max out your 401. And they'll be like, well, I'm like, hey, the money you don't put in to your 401 that you could have just goes straight to the government. So why not try to keep it?
Yeah.
If you're only putting 10,000 and you can put in 19.5, you're giving 9,500 to the government in taxes.
I agree.
So max that out. I try to sell max everything out. I max everything out at Tesla and just work OT over at Sutter to make up the difference, because they have something called, I think, employee stock purchase plan, and that gives you 15% off the lowest trading either in August or in March. So if it's like 250 in August and 800 in March, you get 250 minus 15%. That's what you buy it at.
Yeah. Damn.
Right?
Have you taken advantage of that yet?
Yeah. So they give you 15%, up to 15%, they'll take out of your check post-tax. Gotcha. So I try to not take out too much. So I max out. I do like 25% of my check going into my 401, then 15% going into the ESPP. So I'm only really taking home, 40-60% of my check, less tax.
It's like software developers that get RSUs. Yeah. They get a piece of the company. In essence, they can get the option to have a piece of the company, when they vest. But yeah, that's pretty similar to that, because they make most of their money off of their RSUs.
Yeah, a lot of people, I told them I don't want to raise, just take my money and put into, more RSUs that you're going to give me for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. So Eric, it was nice talking to you, man. For those people that want to get a hold of you, where would they look?
They can, go on my YouTube channel, IJGR. It just got real on YouTube. And I think you guys can shoot me comments on the videos, leave me your email or whatnot. And then I also Instagram and all that, IJGR.
All right, guys, that's it for this video. But if you want to be a guest in our Road to Fire series, then make sure you click on the link in the description below. And if you like this video, I'm sure you're going to like all of our other Road to Fire videos by clicking on this playlist here.